Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is the Hydra Synth video synth online environment and its application in art installations. I've gotten quite a few questions about the Hydra Synth, well, about how I created certain visuals, and it happens to be using the Hydra video synth. So I'm going to provide some clarity on how specific visuals were achieved, especially for commercial art installations, because there's a lot that the Hydra can do. I'd also like to announce that starting in February of 2024, I'll be offering my large-scale art installations for residential environments. So if you're an interior designer, lighting designer, or a real estate broker, somewhere in that world of interior design and helping out homeowners, and one of your clients is looking for a statement piece that's modern, customizable, and takes advantage of interactive technology to make it something completely unique, then feel free to reach out to me so we can talk more about whether this type of in-home art installation is right for your homeowner client. Getting back to the original topic, as you can see, I have Hydra pulled up, which is just Hydra.OJack.XYZ. That's how you can find it. The original creator of Hydra is Olivia Jack. I didn't know that at first, but now that I look at the URL, it is interesting to see Hydra.OJack.XYZ. I'll have to do some digging more into that naming structure. My mind just went in like 3 different places because it's so interesting that somebody would build this. But just scrolling down a bit, we can see some instructions. There's actually quite a bit of resources and documentation for this. So thank you very much, Olivia Jack, and the community of people that have contributed to the documentation and to the visuals here. If you go to Hydra.OJack.XYZ, you will see exactly how this works, and that there's a large amount of presets also that help you understand the visual coding that's going on. And that's exactly what I did. I just jumped in here and started learning it. So how Hydra can be used to mix and add effects to camera feeds, screen shares, live streams, and videos. Very interesting, right? So it gets your mind going, I wonder what else I could use this for. In particular, of particular use for the type of art that I create is the ability to mix and add effects to camera feeds. That's something I often do using various other pieces of software, but the other pieces of software that I typically use need an installed program on my computer. It's very useful to note that this is all an online environment, so it can be accessed by any device, even a mobile device like your phone or a tablet, and things can be created just right there within this environment. Very, very, very useful. Let's see. Let's just get through these. Hydra can be used to create generative and audio reactive visuals. Very, very interesting again. And share them online with others. In combination with other JavaScript libraries such as P5.js, Tone.js, 3.js, or Gibber, to add interactive video effects to a website. Wow. Right? Wow. It can add some. I would assume this means that you can create visuals and then embed them into your website, probably like as the background of a landing page or something like that would be the typical use. Second to last one, to experiment with and learn about video feedback, fractals, and pixel operations. Yes, absolutely. Last but not least, to stream video between browsers and live jam with others online. I hadn't noticed that. Well, I read it before, but I didn't really understand it until right now. To stream video between browsers and live jam with others online. I wonder what that means. I really don't know what that means. I'm very, very interested. Okay, great, cool. So much more comprehensive of a tool than I initially understood. Further resources and next steps. As you can see, there's a getting started document, a list of Hydra functions. There's a database of projects and tutorials, a gallery of what they call sketches, which is what I have a list here of tabs. That's what you see across the top. Sketches that I've created. And of course the source code on GitHub. All very open. Love it. Let's jump into this next tab here, which is a list of functions for the Hydra environment. There are 5 types of functions in Hydra: source, geometry, color, blend, and modulate. When you scroll down through this list, it actually creates an example, and you can even see it in use. So 0 is just like the base code. I actually don't even have the terminology. Personally, I don't have the terminology for these types of things. And so like 0, 1, I just see the tab. I just see what's happening, how I can relate it. Well, to give you some background, I don't have a coding background. I don't have an IT background. What my background is really just intuitively moving through the technological space by using tools myself and understanding what does what. Not because I know the background code of it or something like that, or even in the audio world, it wasn't because I understood some formal schooling behind engineering. I just knew what I liked. I have an ear for my taste is a certain way, and I would mess with pieces of software. I would understand them and tinker with them until I got the sound that I was looking for. With enough practice of doing that, I was able to develop some just intuitive ways of using a piece of software without necessarily understanding every aspect of it or how, oscillators and all these technical terms electronically work. It's the same thing here. I don't know code. I'm barely learning these words. I know what a gradient is. I know what an oscillator is from music, right? There are some terms that are interchangeable because I've learned some modular music or audio synthesis that they relate, because audio synthesis is based on electronics principles, principles of electricity, and video synthesis is it comes from that analog world as well. But I move through this space just as intuitively. I just tinker with things until I get a result, and I go, "Oh, interesting. When I mess with this specific type of control, it does this certain type of thing generally." So a lot of what I'm doing is just experimentation for my own entertainment. It's experimentation at, I don't know. I don't want to say at high level, but I definitely have a base understanding coming into it that's higher than most people that have no video synthesis experience. Moving on. The Internet Garden. I haven't had a chance to go through this. It looks like it didn't load properly. Let's see here. Ever-growing community database of resources, projects, tutorials, and code related to Hydra Video Synth. So, okay, that's cool. So you can just move these around. Oh, there's a tutorial here. I should probably look at that, right? Maybe not. Hydra to MIDI. Oh, live coding with Max MSP. Very cool. All right. Hydra to MIDI. Oh, not MIDI to Hydra. I wonder if that's just named. I want to say incorrectly. Named backwards, or if it really does mean that the Hydra can output MIDI to other devices. I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. I'll have to go. I'm already trying to organize these. Okay. Next tab. Of course, there's a Discord channel that I found. It looks like the community is pretty active, and people will post up their source code, ask questions to the community, like how can I get this certain thing to do, such and such. People, just like in any of the other community, are relatively helpful. So I'll have to dig into that a bit more and see what I find. And one more thing, the Twitter channel. It doesn't look like this is connected anymore, but at one point, up until June 4th, patterns directly from the Hydra environment, they have an upload button. And what used to happen is it would just upload to this Twitter, and then it would share with somebody's like tag or preferred tag or username. It was doing that up until one point, and I know that because I tried to share some from mine, from my sketches, and that did not work. All right, so let's show off some work. These are just initial sketches. Again, what you're able to get from what you're doing, like what the designs that I'm able to get from Hydra, even though I know very little about coding, is promising. I have a lot of hardware video synthesizers that I use because it provides some hands-on control and allows me to not be so concerned with the technical aspects. I can just use muscle memory to start to subconsciously and intuitively understand what controls may do what in a specific combination. And so I'll just go through these and show you. I don't think they're the most complicated, but they are very visually interesting. Let me see, how do I hide the code? So Control-Shift-H allows you to hide the code. And let's Control-Shift-I. Is that correct? Control-Shift-H again, just hide it. So you even have a little dice thing here. There are certain aspects to this where I wish this were brighter, so I could add a little snippet from my previous list of functions here. There's a brightness one here. So I could add that if I wanted to. I'm not going to right now just because I want to just go through these. These you can ask ChatGPT for some to teach you some lessons. So that's pretty cool. There's so much experimentation that's occurring. Here I'm modulating the way that each pattern says. You can see if you point to any one specific region, you can see what happens is the lines straighten out, and then they have a sub-layer of circles, which almost like a blanket, a gravity, it kind of pulls it down, and then it imprints it pulls the straight lines onto the circles. And that's how I imagine it, at least. There's a lot that you can do here. So let's go to this next environment. A lot of these I took are variations from other pieces that I've seen, and that's how I've learned. So this is similar to the previous one, right? And you can see the movement a bit more clearly here, but the color is different. So here I'm experimenting with color. This one I'm experimenting with more blocking type of visual, and it's blocks that break down and that open up into strips, and then they get pulled away into blocks again over time. This is one of my favorites. It looks like almost like a curtain to me. This is more complex. I hesitate to use that word because it's really not that complex. This is just me experimenting with different shapes. And then the scrolling function, I was able to get the color to rotate. So this I love. It has a very 90s. And anybody that I've shown this to, they love the retro feel of it. Not just the granularity of it, the noisiness of it, but the way that it just moves and looks like a curtain almost. I love it. And I love this pattern. Very 90s, right? The water cups. Immediately what I think of. Let's check out a few more here. This one was inspired by my wife. She loves diamonds and shiny things, and especially anything iridescent and colorful. So I tried to create a diamond shape. I was able to get some, like a jewel shape, right? Like, I don't know what that would be. What is that called? I really want to say baguette cut. I'm either correct or I'm just hilariously wrong on that. I think I might be right, hopefully. Something else here where it's more still. And now we can get layers poking out of the original shape. And now here's a combination of movement with different layers on top of each other. So the reason I'm showing you this is because this is the way I think about things. I create something, I'll duplicate it, I create something else. I make changes really one at a time. That's why I left these for last. I make these changes one at a time, and that's the best way for me to learn. Just like any experiment, any good experiment, when you split test, you're supposed to split test one variable at a time. It allows you to understand the effects of what you're doing in a more controlled environment. It's a very scientific way of thinking about things, and for that reason, I apply it to life. I just do that. That's what I like doing. Once you see these more complex creations I'm able to get to, once I show them, I'm pretty invested in terms of the amount of time that I've put into getting that result. It's slow at first, but I think it's a good metaphor for life too. I used to be very impatient when I was younger. I still am. I have this like assertive, do it now type of attitude towards most things. The reason that I think this is relatable, this way of thinking about art, this representation metaphorically of how I create my art, I feel like a lot of people many can relate to this, to the importance of the message, which is to slow down a bit, not be so desperate for things to change, to extract the lessons that you can from the environment that you're in, from the situation that you're in. Once you learn those lessons, you will be able to move on to the next stage of evolution. If you're overwhelmed with what do I do next, sometimes that's because you're not paying enough attention to where you're already at, to what you're already doing, to what's already happening in your life. If you know where you are and you know where you want to go, the road is more obvious than you're making it out to be. It's more obvious than you're giving yourself credit for. So if you want to know which direction to go, much of that is from knowing where you're at. I'm sure you've heard this advice if you watch any self-improvement videos or anything like that. It's about taking stock of where you are, looking at the resources that you already have available, either within your own thinking, your own life, or the resources of those that you know, right? Who you know. There's a lot to be learned there. There are many lessons to be learned there. That's it for now. I just want to give a brief overview before I start digging into the more technical aspects or the deeper aspects of my creativity. So I just wanted to share that one bit at a time. I'm launching a new website coming pretty soon here. We're in August of 2023. I will have that launched by September of 2023. It's going to provide some detailed information about the installations that I'm providing as a service. I'm going to be teasing upcoming videos that delve deeper into the target audience for these installations. Right? These really will. Well, I'll leave that for the video, and the innovative ways that I'm using technology to create these unique experiences, how I mentioned. There is an aspect of exclusivity for the access of these art installations, specifically towards high-end residences. I'd like to balance that with some public works as well, which I will be doing towards the end of this year. In October, I have a couple of opportunities that I'm working on. Can't really announce yet, but those are making me happy. I'm going to be able to create some public experiences. And these are going to be more than just art, especially for a homeowner that wants to have one of these in their home. And I'm not just talking about the visuals. These visuals I showed you today are just kind of experiments. The more refined and completed visuals that I have, they're more than just art. They're a reflection of somebody's taste, modernism, and their progressive and their futuristic preference and lifestyle. I'm excited to share more. If that description sounds like a client of yours, or maybe it's you, but really who I'm looking to connect with are interior designers and the like, then send me a message. Send me an email. I'd love to connect and find out more about your type of clientele. So we recapping real quick, we covered some wide variety of topics here, all floating around the topic of the Hydra synth. I showed you the examples that I have here, just kind of my thinking linearly of taking one experiment one step at a time in order to get a better understanding before you can create something like this, which is more complex and interesting. There needs to be a base level foundation for the way that we apply knowledge as humans. And then I showed you all of the resources as well if you'd like to experiment and tinker around with it. These are amazing public tools. This is an amazing public tool, and there are many others like it. If you've ever thought about creating visuals yourself, this is a great way to get started. Some online tools, and I'm sure you can find many more. So, thank you for watching this video, and just wanted to remind you that I have that website launch coming soon. I'm going to be uploading more videos about my art, who it's for, what it represents, and of course, I'm excited right now I'm recording videos of installations I've done. So I'm excited to share with you the real life examples of these art installations that I've created using my visual art, as well as a certain type of I don't want to say that it's proprietary, but it definitely is very, very unique in its combination of technology to make the environments interactive and customized to the individual. So I'll see you on the next video. Drop me any questions or comments, and subscribe if you find this interesting, if you'd like to follow me on this journey. Thanks. See ya.